Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakhaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Prapanna Parijataya Totravetraika Panaye Nana Mudraya Krishnaya Gitamrita Duhe Namaha. So we are in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, wherein we have so far covered first 6 shlokas, I believe, till Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya. So in the 3rd chapter, we have seen the Karma Yoga topic. At the end of it, we saw how sadhaka, a Nishkama Karma Yogi, should be very alert and cautious against the obstacle of lust, for which Krishna described the characteristics of lust. He told the places where the lust is situated, and he suggested very practical ways to deal with it, starting from the senses, and then engage the mind, engage intelligence, guide the intelligence from the words of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. By that, you deal with this lust. One should be patient while dealing with the lust because it's an eternal enemy. Until one really puts his foot in the spiritual world, one has to be very, very cautious and alert. This topic will come again in the 5th chapter about dealing with the material enjoyment mentality. So going ahead, we have seen now the distinguishing feature of a person who is progressing in the yoga ladder, in the yoga lift, is the transcendental knowledge. Krishna suggested that as one of the main means to conquer lust. And now in the 4th chapter, he started describing about transcendental knowledge. In the middle of it, Arjuna inquired how Krishna's position is superior, how Krishna is not like ordinary conditioned souls who keep taking birth, who keep changing their bodies, but Lord Krishna's position is transcendental. So that is the first section we are seeing, transcendental knowledge about Krishna. And this section also tells the nature of Krishna's appearance and disappearance in this world, and what are his activities, what's the purpose of his descent, and what will one gain by knowing about this information, this knowledge. So there was one very famous analogy which Prabhupada quoted in these purports we saw last time about the nature of Krishna's appearance and disappearance. Anyone would like to recollect? How do we say Krishna's appearance and disappearance is different from conditioned soul? give me some examples for it so that it's easier. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, he was born with 4 hands.
Okay,
Divya Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yo Vetti Tattvataha. So his Janma was transcendental, Divya Janma Prabhuji. Unlike us, we are covered in blood, you know, all the material, and he is like as soon as he's born, he wrestle with yeah.
And
Very
also,
true.
and also after like born, he crossed the entire, and he means like his father has taken him, the crossed that entire Yamuna river in such a rain, and also covered Vasudeva.
Yeah. So today in our discussion, we will deal with this, but I'm asking something from last time's discussion, where Prabhupada explained one very nice, simple example. How Krishna's appearance and disappearance is different from conditioned soul. And with an example, if you remember that purport, you may find it easier.
Yeah. 2 plus 2 is equal to.
Okay, I'll point it. It is in the 6th purport. Boliye. Yes.
Prabhuji, are you talking about Vaidurya stone?
Vaidurya stone. Okay, that's true. That is also one of them. But there is something very simple analogy, which is important to remember, especially from the course perspective. The 6th purport, it is there.
Sun's rising and setting.
Very good. Correct, Mataji. Sun's rising and setting. Just like sun rises and sets, but it never is vanished from its existence. Similarly, Lord Krishna's appearance and disappearance, they are to our vision. They manifest at certain period of time and they are unmanifest. But Lord's existence, Lord's activities, they are nitya. We say no nitya leela, like that. So Prabhupada told that. And then in the 7th one, we paused at this shloka. I'm opening that in the meantime. The 7th one, very famous. Let's recite it together. Yada yada hi dharmasya
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य
abhyuttanam
तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Please read. Purport Santosh Prabhu, can you read?
Yes, ma'am. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious
You got muted, Prabhu.
Muted.
Sorry, Prabhu, I thought whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself.
Take. So it's a very simple explanation, Prabhupada. Translation is very simple. Yada yada, whenever and wherever there is dharmasya glani. Glani means deterioration, fall. That time, and accordingly there is irreligion which is also spreading in the parallel. So Lord is actually telling that time I descend. The word used is srijami. Now srijami word, last time I saw, it is usually used with the connotation of creation. Srijan, srishti. But here Lord is using this word, giving enough scope for those who don't want to believe in him to continue doing that. At the same time, how do we understand it? Last time I just mentioned about it. Prabhupada tells this in the purport. How do we understand it?
He is eternally existent, like that.
Okay, he is eternally existent. Okay. Okay. Anything more? Just refer the purport. Prabhupada explains that.
He descends himself as he is.
He descends himself as he is. Prabhupada is telling, just see the past shloka where Lord has already told Ajaha. The word Srijami is significant. Lord manifests himself he is, because in the previous verse it's already told about the nature of Lord's body, Lord's existence and appearance. Ajaha, api, san avyayatma, Mishwara. So that description is there. So Srijami here, it means it's manifesting, not Lord is taking body. It's not that his body is getting created. No, he manifests
Prabhu.
self same
He
body.
says, the Lord says that he appears in his own body. He does not change his body as the common living entity changes.
Yeah, Lord doesn't change. Correct. Very right. So now Prabhupada told about that every avatar has a purpose. He gave example of Buddha, and every avatar come for giving the transcendental knowledge according to the circumstance and the audience who are in front of the avatar. And how devotees of Krishna who are following the highest religious path, that is Krishna consciousness, see it. They see it as different gradations of the same knowledge. Prabhupada tells about the mathematics taught in the elementary level, in the graduation level, in the expertise level. It's the same, but the level of detail, the level of depth, the depth of the knowledge is more as one progresses. So one should see this and appreciate Lord wherever he appears, and followers of that, sincere followers of that religious path, whoever it may be. So last time I even mentioned about how Prabhupada remarkably, very revolutionarily described when he went to West, that Krishna consciousness is not about converting a person into different faith. It is a universal principle. we are here to make a Christian a better Christian. Prabhupada tells in one lecture, very famous. And that statement, in fact, opened up many people's, that limited scope of vision. And they embraced Krishna consciousness. Many of the different faith people also took it. So it is important to know like this. Now, Lord can do this. Dharmasya glani, adharmasya abhyutta. So that time he can correct it by his energies only. There is no need for him to personally appear. So why he need to appear? What is special which happens when he appears? That is described in the next shloka. So who is reading today?
Let me read.
Can I read?
I can. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes. So who is reading? Sorry.
Can I
Prabhuji,
read, Prabhuji?
Prabhuji?
Yeah. Sorry, please go ahead,
Okay.
Mataji.
Okay. After some time, I will rotate it. Okay. So we are now doing 4.8. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Please read.
To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium.
So sadhu, paritranaya sadhunam. Sadhu means, Prabhupada here says, whoever is 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is sadhu. Sadhu doesn't mean an external address or an activity, but it is engagement at the level of body, mind, and words. So sadhu, there is description of it in Bhagavatam. Sadhu means actually one who is a Krishna conscious practitioner. Even a honest, sincere practitioner should be seen as sadhu. Paritranaya sadhunam, to deliver my pious, and pious means here means devotees actually. And to vinashaya cha dushkritam, miscreants who disrupt, trouble the devotees, proper following of dharma, for them to vinasha, to annihilate them. And third purpose is dharma samsthapanarthaya, so to establish the universal eternal principles of religion. Dharma samsthapana sambhavami yuge yuge. So Prabhupada in the purport very nicely describes about different types of religion. Before that, he even mentions what is avatar. Avatar means something which descends from a higher realm. That's the exact literal meaning. He quotes Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and explains that avatar. So Lord has unlimited avatars. He performs unlimited, different variegated activities in those avatars. Every time avatar descends, it has a purpose to please or appease his devotees. And especially, now one may say the word used is paritrana, means to deliver, to aid that person's growth in spiritual path. But to essentially see this, Lord doesn't need to appear for that purpose, because devotees, by their very practice of devotional service, are delivered. What is the need for Lord to appear and deliver them? Is it that Lord appeared and delivered Prahlad? Was he not spiritual, liberated by that time, or was he not above the material conditionings by that time? Are you all getting this thought? Prabhupada puts this in the purport. So, what is the main purpose of Lord's descent? No, the devotees need not be delivered, because by practice of Krishna consciousness, they are delivered. So why Lord needs to appear?
Vinashaya cha dushkritam.
Oh, that though he can do it by his energies only. He doesn't need to even appear for that.
So
For
before
some
Krishna
pastimes
also
with
there are
devotees.
yes.
Sorry, two answers.
Pastimes with devotees.
Pastimes with devotees. So Prabhupada mentions the devotees are anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes, in his pastimes, in his own appearance. So Lord descends only to relieve the devotees of their anxieties, which is actually to see him, to serve him. Like Prahlad, Lord need not have to appear to kill Hiranyakashipu, to save Prahlad. No, that he was already doing earlier. Is it not? Once this famous story we know, Birbal and Akbar were talking about this. Why Lord comes to this material world often? So Birbal was telling, actually he comes to please his devotees, to save his devotees. So Akbar was thinking, what? God can do it by sending any other person in place of him. Why do we need to come? So Akbar was not getting Akbar was not getting that point clearly. So Birbal, he told, okay, fine. I will tell you at a later point. So that they dispersed. The next day, there was a news in the court. Suddenly a messenger came in and he told Akbar, who was with Birbal and other ministers, that your son is drowning. He went to play in the gardens and he fell into the pond and he's drowning. Then Akbar, he left away everything and he started going, and all the ministers followed this. And there really appeared that there was a drowning scene. The boy was drowning. So Akbar, he kept his vastras in the side and he himself jumped. And other people also jumped to protect the child. And they later brought, to the amazement, it was not the child. It was some wooden caricature kind of a thing. And when Akbar brought, and then he was puzzled. What is this? Who has done this trick on me only? Like that. Then Birbal came in front and he told, oh Akbar, Raja, you could have told any of your, so many of your ministers, guards to do saving of your child. Why do you have to jump personally? Then Akbar naturally told, he shied. He even got the point what Birbal was making it. So Lord descends out of great love for his devotee. He can surely send his agents. He can do it through his energies, many things. Just as Narsimha, Lord Krishna, had great love for his dear devotee Prahlad. And he could not restrain himself from appearing. He in fact had appeared in all the pillars. One description of Narsimha Lila. He was in all the pillars. And Prahlad was saying, everywhere is there, Lord. He is here. Yes, he is here also. So that's from where he Lord appeared. So it was only to save or to show his love for his devotee. And Lord, in extreme anger, he killed all the demons. He was ripping without any weapons. He was killing. He could have surely used weapons. Do not consider the obligation of not using weapons, because Lord is supremely independent. But out of his great love, the person, he wants to do something personally for his beloved. So that is the point. So Prabhupada tells this, emphasizes this in the purport, that Lord descends to relieve the devotees of their anxiety to see him and to serve him. They are separated from him, so they want to serve him. And Prabhupada also mentions that the avatar for Kali Yuga is covered. It's secret. But nonetheless, on the basis of Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, one can surely see that the avatar is none other than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's descent is for the Yuga Dharma of Sankirtan. And devotees of Krishna are very much attracted by the Sankirtan movement, because Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are same. So Prabhupada says, this avatar of the Lord does not kill the miscreants, but delivers them by his causeless mercy. So like that. So this is describing the activities, what Lord does in the last two shlokas. So yada yada hi dharmasya and this paritranaya sadhana. Now, after knowing Lord's the transcendental nature of appearance and activities of Lord, now what will one gain? That is described in the next shloka. Very famous shloka. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti Arjuna. Please read.
One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna.
So whenever there was a festival of Janmashtami or any avatar's appearance for that matter, Prabhupada chose this verse to speak from. Very famous, very much quoted by Prabhupada, one of the most quoted verses. So the key words are like this. Janma and Karma, we saw that. Two shlokas described it. About Lord's appearance, Ajopi san Avyayatma, starting from there. Bahuni me Vyatitani and Ajopi san Avyayatma. They told about Janma of Lord. Now, what's the karma of the Lord? Yada yada hi dharmasya paritranaya sadhunam. It told about karma of the Lord. The Janma and Karma are described. So knowing them as Divya, how? Tattvataha. That's the key word here. Tattvataha. So Tattvataha, if one understands Vetti, then what will happen? Tyaktva deham punarjanma na iti. When he leaves the body, no punarjanma for such a person. But what will happen to him? Will he go to some light and merge? Will he, get dissolved in oblivion? He comes to me, Mam eti, Saha Mam eti. Such a person comes to me, O Arjuna. That's the way in which this is described. Prabhupada tells in the purport about Punarjanma na iti. What does Punarjanma na iti mean? Because it is told that it's very difficult to get out of this samsara. It's so rare to get even human birth out of 8.4 million species of life. In that rarity, can one consider how rare it is to get a Sadguru who is connecting us to the proper bona fide parampara? Out of that, how much we can get association and directed and trained and guided by that Sadguru. We get association and one takes to it very sincerely and seriously in association of devotees. How much rare it is. And how rare it will be to get delivered from this samsara, one can see. So in that such a case of rarity, just by understanding Lord's Janma and Karma as Divya, how Tattvataha, one will easily get delivered. Punarjanmana iti. So Prabhupada explains this rarity in many ways. He quotes many verses about what is Tattvataha understanding. Tattvataha means truth. Prabhupada uses the word in the word to word meaning in reality, in truth. Now, Tattvataha, like this word Tattva we often see. Tattva means usually we refer to as philosophy, is it not? And Rasa and Tattva we say this. So Tattva means what? In factual. What is the Lord's position? Objectively speaking, not by the bhava. But Tattva comes the fundamental for a practitioner. So Lord is telling, first understand the Tattva of my Janma and Karma. Then go to the transcendental emotions. Prabhupada always, that's why he chose to speak on this shloka and he emphasized a lot about Tattvataha, know the position of Lord. So Tattvataha, how do we understand? That is to take shelter of Shastras. Shastra yonitvat, this is the word in Vedanta Sutra. Only by Shabda Pramana can one understand Supreme Lord in truth. Tattvataha. What are those Pramanas in the Shabda which tell us they are actually beginning from Upanishads? Then Bhagavad Gita like this, Puranas, especially Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada quotes many Upanishads to explain this, and one who understands this truth tattvataha, such a person, he transcends. So that is the important thing. One another fact Prabhupada mentions is, after knowing the philosophy, it's not just enough to understand it by intelligence. One has to be faithful. Prabhupada mentions this, accepting this truth on faith. The word is used. Without a doubt, one will attain liberation by that. So truth, knowing the truth, and accepting it without faith. So both are important. Often we hear the story of the unfaithful, scholarly Brahmana versus the simple. He knew the truth. It's not that he did not know. The cobbler. You know the story, right? Prabhupada tells the very famous story about cobbler and Brahmana. Narada Muni visits them. And
yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Someone please tell in brief, because it's very relevant here.
The needle, it's about the example of the needle.
Correct.
Narada asked, can an elephant pass through this needle? And the cobbler says that yes, it is possible, because it is Krishna can do anything. So he can definitely put a needle through the this one, whereas the other Gyani couldn't answer that way. Faintly, I remember. I don't remember the full story.
Correct. True. So Narada Muni had visited both of them, and both of them received him very well. And they naturally asked, when you go to visit Narayana in the Vaikuntha, please ask when we will come back. So then Lord Narayana, he responded different for different people. For both of them, he told for Brahmana it will take many lives. For cobbler, he will soon come. Then Narada was puzzled. This Brahmana Pandita, he knows so much of Vedic Upanishads, all that. He recites, he teaches. He may conduct Bhakti Shastri course. So, but the point is, he doesn't have faith. So Lord is telling, you go and tell them when they doubt your reply that I was doing this act of putting the elephant through the eye of the needle. So then Narada was puzzled. So he told this fact to both of them. In fact, the Brahmana reacted so violently. Violently means in a non-believing manner. He did not believe this. How could it be possible? He doubted that you really visited Vaikuntha or not. But the cobbler, who was a very simple person, he had faith based on logic. He tells, my Lord, he is putting the big banyan tree in the simple seed. He is making the whole planets move. He is making every atom move. Not without his approval, nothing moves. So like this, he reasoned, which was very logical. And he told, Lord is so divya, Lord is so magnanimous. He's doing such wonderful thing. He danced in Lord's appreciation for Lord's glories. So on seeing this, Narada understood, yes, not just the truth, but faith on the truth. So many pastimes like this Prabhupada tells. He also tells about one Daku called Bhagat, who went to visit, who was moving in his chase for the wealth. He happened to sit in a Harikatha and he heard about Lord Krishna's beauty, Lord Krishna's personality, what he wears and all. He really thought, yes, it's factual. The person was described in great length, and he even told in Vrindavan in UP, one may find this boy, he lives there like this. So then he went and took the address. He went, and that desperation to meet that boy for even jewels purified him and granted him that vision that way. So truth is important, tattvataha, but along with that, one should have faith on that truth. This point will come at the end of this chapter again. What disqualifies a person in the path of transcendental knowledge? One is being ignorant. Another is, okay, you have some knowledge, but you don't have faith on that knowledge. You doubt that faith. So these are the different disqualifications which will come actually. Samshayatma, Agnya, Ashraddha Dhana, like that. So we will take the disqualifications there more elaborately. But the point here is one should know the tattva with the faith. That's the essential point. So Lord is telling the fruit, the result of knowing him, his spiritual position, tattvataha, what will happen? The first reason here, first result told here is what? Can someone quickly point out? What's the result one gains by knowing about the nature of Lord's Janma and Karma?
Tyaktva deham punarjanman, will not have a rebirth.
Tyaktva deham punarjanma na iti. So he doesn't take birth again. Now we will see another result which will be in the next shloka. Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mam upashrita bahavo gnana tapasa puta madbhavamagata. Please read.
Being freed from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me.
Okay, so please point out the second or any more results.
Purification and attaining of transcendental love. Bhakti prema.
Yes, madbhava magata. He will attain bhava, prema for me. Like that Lord is describing. So in the shloka, along with telling the results, Lord also tells something more. Being freed from raga, bhaya and krodha. And doing this as a tapasa, nana tapasa, following this path, it's little austere. For conditioned soul, any spiritual activity is austere. Even sitting and hearing Lord Krishna's beauty, glories is austere. But point is understanding that it's important. It gives a transcendental fruits. One sits and does this activity. So many people have attained, O Arjuna, not only you. So this is giving the credibility for the path, giving the confidence. Many people have gained success by this path. Many people show it. Recently, we were in a town for book distribution. There were some career institutes which tell these many students have cracked NEET, JEE, like this. This year, this many were there. Earlier year, this many were there. Like this. So what is that giving? Okay, if I join, I will also eventually get into one of those lists. So point is that gives the practitioner confidence, trust, marches ahead without doubt, like that. So there are three things here told. Prabhupada tells very nice. That becomes the main theme of Prabhupada's purport. Raga, bhaya and krodha. These three things have to be freed from, because they become obstacles in the path of understanding knowledge, understanding Lord in truth. So what are these raga, bhaya and krodha mentalities? Very nicely Prabhupada describes. So raga means attachment. Attachment. In fact, Prabhupada says absorption in that attachment, material absorption. So much absorption that he doesn't even think about any reality outside his immediate sense gratification. That is raga, intense absorption. It's like pure materialism, so much absorption. So Prabhupada describes that like a living life practically like an animal. Animal is just worried about its immediate eating, sleeping, mating and defending. By that it's gaining some enjoyment. So that is material absorption. That is a raga. One should be careful against that. Now second mentality Prabhupada describes, that is bhaya. That is bhaya. So bhaya means fear. So why this fear? What is this fear talked about? Prabhupada tells fear of spiritual forms, identities and activities. Because one, after being absorbed in matter and trying out different ways of enjoyment, he sees that whatever he wants, he's not getting it. In fact, he's getting opposite. He is plunged into miseries. So knowing this, he comes to an understanding, oh, nothing about form, nothing about these activities. If I shut off all these things, then I will be peaceful and happy. So he is fearful about forms and activities. So when he comes to spiritual life, he sees, Array, there is here a spiritual form described. There is some activities talked about. Becomes fearful. No, this cannot be. So he becomes fearful and he denies that. That path becomes the very famous misunderstanding. That is Maya path. Impersonalism. It is Bhaya. So we saw two now. What are they? Can someone quickly repeat and tell their English equivalents?
Raga, attachment,
Raga is
and
attachment, Prabhu.
fear.
Absorption in material attachment, that is raga, and bhaya is fear of spiritual forms and activities, which is impersonalism.
Impersonalism, very right. Now,
Prabhuji,
Krodha.
question, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Prabhuji, can you explain a little bit more about this fear of forms and that thing? I didn't understand, like why somebody will be fearful of a form and activity.
Okay. See, I'm reading something from Prabhupada's purport. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8th line. In the materialistic concept, the body is perishable. I'll better show it here. The body is perishable, full of ignorance, and completely miserable. Therefore, people in general keep the same bodily idea in mind when they're informed of the personal form of the Lord. For such materialistic manifest. Okay, now there is another game. Okay, but nonetheless, let us read it ahead. For such materialistic men, the form of gigantic material manifestation is supreme. That is Virat Rupa. Consequently, they consider supreme to be impersonal. And because they are too materially absorbed, because Raga is also there, the conception of retaining the personality after liberation from matter frightens them. When they're informed that spiritual life is also individual and personal, they become afraid of becoming persons again. And so naturally prefer a kind of merging into the impersonal void. They compare it to the bubbles which merge into ocean. This is a fearful stage of life. So Prabhupada basically is telling that denying of forms and activities, which is born of an incomplete knowledge. They don't know the spiritual nature of those. They have only half truth, So that's like, they say Jagat Mithya. So Brahma Satya and Jagat Mithya. So Jagat Mithya. So that means there are forms here, there are activities here, and Brahma should be truth. So he should not have those forms and activities. So they consider everything completely opposite from, Jagat to the spiritual world. That is Brahma. So that is not completely true. That way we should understand it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So this is very important to know, because we say Brahma Satya, we accept that, but Jagan Mithya we don't accept. Jagat is temporary. Our acharyas have told Vishwam Satyam. That is one of the aphorisms of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Vishwam Satyam, Madhvacharya says, and Baladev Vidyabhushan expands on it. So that is a fearful stage of life, to consider Jagat as Mithya and annihilate everything. Consider the same mentality. Spiritual world also. So now the third one concept is coming, that is Krodha, anger. What is this anger about? Anger about so much variety in spiritual life, so much of interpretations which so-called people attempt to do. People become disgusted about it. They become so frustrated about it that, oh, how could this be right? Some person comes up and says like this. So there are many so-called spiritual teachers who tell about spiritual truths in various ways. So they, seeing this variety, in fact, sometimes in the truth also there is variety. Even in Vaishnavism also there is variety in explanations. So they become very disgusted. They become so fearful. It goes into the mode of agnosticism. Agnosticism means you don't talk about it only. It's like it's voidism. Prabhupada calls here voidism, means shunyavad, which you can see associate with Buddhism. Wherein a person, he only says, okay, this world is suffering place. Just get out of this world, nirvana. And there, what happens? Actually, you lose your existence. Void. You enter into that void. That's the Shunya understanding. So that is also a very great stumbling block. So Lord has told 3 stumbling blocks in the Tattvataha understanding. Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. So Raga is, what is Raga?
Attachment.
Attachment.
Material attachment.
Material attachment. The word you exactly used is absorption. So
Absorption.
much absorption. Second is Bhaya, which is actually impersonalism. Fear of forms and spiritual forms and activities. And third one is Krodha, which is voidism. So we can see Prabhupada's Anati, Nirvishesha Shunyabadi, Paschatya Desha Tarine. So it was to this point actually. So one should be careful about these stumbling blocks and pursue the path followed by the earlier practitioners, successful practitioners, our acharyas, Bahavo Gnana Tapasa. And one will surely be purified and he will attain love form. That is Lord explaining. So this completes one theme of the first theme of 4th chapter. By the time I bring it up, anyone could recollect what is that theme?
Transcendental knowledge about Krishna.
Yes, transcendental knowledge about Krishna. That's the first theme. Yeah. So now there is second theme which is starting here. Yeah. Sorry, I was not well set today. Just was rushing through. So I'm sharing this here. So we saw the first theme, transcendental knowledge about Krishna. This is in your workbook. Now 11 to 15 is the next theme. Interesting. Krishna, the creator and culminator of all paths. Why the title becomes very obvious as we go through it. So Lord Krishna so far, he told about what is the benefit which the conditioned soul gains by following the path of devotional service. He explained this thing. Now, but we see practically there are many people who are not following this path. And we are seeing there are varieties of bona fide paths sometimes. So how do we see it? Why Lord has done this? What drives the people to choose them over the glorious devotional service? So that is the next thing. And Lord describes that from the 11th shloka. Very interesting and very often misunderstood. Bhagavad Gita. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tataiva mama vartmanu vartante manushya sarvashaha. Yes.
As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha.
O son of Pritha. Hey Partha, actually, as people surrender, I reward them. There are many people choosing many paths, true. But as they come to me, I reward them. And ultimately, everyone is following my path. There is one path, Mama Vartma. Everyone is following that path. Now, this is little interesting because earlier so far we have seen, even we saw in the shloka earlier also, 3rd chapter also we saw that one fruit is attained by following properly dharma, one is attained by vikarma, all that we saw. Later we will see yanti deva prata devan. By worshipping devatas, one will go someplace. By worshipping bhutas, one will go one place. Bhuta means ghosts here. By worshipping Pitrus, one will go to one place, another place. And by worshipping Lord says, Mom, they come to me. So, but here it's told, Mama Vatma. All people follow my path in all respects. Interesting. So it's little contradictory, is it not? How is it that there is one path and everyone is following my path? So what it means here. So our acharyas, I have heard this from senior devotees, many nice explanations about it. There is one path surely, and at the end of that path, there is the glorious spiritual world where there is Bhagavan Lord Sri Krishna waiting. And at the another side of it, there is the most inglorious material world where one will be absorbed and feeling suffering more and more. So the point is, everyone is following this path. People either are towards Lord Krishna or away from Lord Krishna. Okay, and some people are at different stages of their growth in the same path. So in that sense, it is one path. So Prabhupada will explain that in the purport. Everyone is looking for Krishna. Any result or any success one attains in any kind of spiritual path is a different degree of success in this one path. Different degree of success in this one path. Let me read that. Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. So Prabhupada also mentions in the very beginning, everyone is searching for Krishna in different aspects of his manifestations. So the point is, Lord is the perfect reciprocator. We see this in the world, that we want to have a relationship with a person, and we get, is my audio line clear?
In between
Sometimes
was
it is
breaking,
giving noise,
Prabhuji,
Prabhu.
now it's
Sometimes it's a feeble.
Sometimes, Prabhu. Yeah.
It's feeble. I don't know.
So wherever you feel not able to connect, let me know, because I don't know how to fix it. It's Wi-Fi as such. So
If you turn off your video, you'll get better bandwidth for your audio.
Yeah.
thanks. True. So let me become impersonal. Okay. So the point here is, the Lord is the perfect reciprocator. What it means, perfect reciprocator? In this world, we want to relate with people, have relationships. That's very natural for a conscious entity like that is Jiva. We have relationships with each other. We have relationships ultimately with Lord. But in our relationships, we want other person to reciprocate according to our desires. Is it not? When our relationships, say a mother and a son, husband and a wife, a friend and another friend, like that, we have some expectations, we have some desires. But often the relationships become unsatisfactory, dissatisfactory when we see that other person is not reciprocating properly. He's not replying or responding to as I want, so that is the point of frustration. But here Lord is telling, ye yatha mam prapadyante, as they surrender, tams tathaiva bhajamyaham, मैं उनका भजन करता हूँ जैसे वे अपने वे प्रपत्ति करते हैं, they surrender to me. So what it means, say suppose in the transcendental world, Prabhupada explains this, different devotees, they are wanting to serve Lord in different ways, in different rasas. So Lord perfectly manifests, he reciprocates in that rasa. In different, of course, 5 primary and 7 secondary rasas. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu talks about it. Say Yashoda Mata, she wants to feed Lord, she wants to care Lord, sometimes she wants to punish Lord, like Damodar Leela. So Lord responds like that, the perfect reciprocator. Akhila Rasamrita Murti, it's called. So now in the material world, it's very much the same. When in the material world, people, I'm referring to the purport, Prabhupada says, in the material world, the same reciprocations of feelings are there, and they're equally exchanged. You see this by the Lord with different types of worshippers. Okay, now what are the different types of worshippers? First is pure devotees. Prabhupada has mentioned pure devotees. They want to serve Lord, associate with Lord in person. So Lord blesses them like that. Then there are impersonalists who want to end their spiritual form. They don't want to accept that spiritual form. So Lord says, okay, I'm also like that only. He also reveals only that much as Brahma Jyoti. Later in the way below, Prabhupada mentions karmis, fruity workers, karma yoga, karma kandis. For them, Lord becomes the Yagneshwara, who grants the results of their work. So like this, everyone is dependent on this Lord for their success. And all kinds of spiritual process. I'm just highlighting that point here. You can see that all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. So unless one comes to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, they remain imperfect. Prabhupada quotes Akama Sarva Kamo Va Moksha Kama Udaradhi. That famous verse. So one should do Tibra Bhakti to Parama Purusha Sri Krishna. Then all that, whatever state of expectations they have, desires they have, they will be satisfied. So the point here is Lord reciprocates. If someone considers Lord's birth and activities as material, then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says he will grant their birth and that people's birth and activities to be material. Means they will be bound in this material world. Those who consider Lord's birth and activities as material, their birth and activities remain material. Means they will be in material world. Those who consider Lord's birth and activities to be, spiritual, but in the sense that, like the Mayavadi's understanding. So they deny the forms and activities. Lord says, okay, you will be granted this destination of Brahma Jyoti. You also have that destination. Then Lord also says that those who consider my birth and activities as spiritual and transcendental, and they offer love for me, I offer bountiful love, because that's the highest understanding. So that is the reciprocation Lord does. It's just like Lord is blessing one according to the method of approach they have. Sometimes like there is rains. This word will come later. There are rains. Everywhere rains are falling in that particular tract of land. Somewhere there is thorn trees. Somewhere there are fruit trees. There are flower plants. Somewhere there could be some just empty ditch of plain land. The rains are falling everywhere. Depending on the seeds, different plants are giving different results. Somebody may just give thorn. Somebody may give some nice succulent jamun trees, fruits, or like that. Somebody may give tamarind, something like different neem or like that. So the point is, Lord is impartial. He is equal. He is showering his mercy. But how the jiva takes to it, it depends on his inclination and desires. Lord only facilitates that desire until that jiva comes to devotional service. When Lord jiva comes to devotional service, it's a different matter. Lord becomes personally interested in that devotee's life. He guides that devotee's life. But Lord is an impartial witness, sanctioner for people's desires. Sometimes it is unwilling for Lord, but Lord nonetheless does it, because the jiva's desires are born out of its free will, and Lord respects that free will. So this concept will come later also. But what we essentially understand in this 11th shloka is Lord reciprocates according to one's approach. Ye yatha mam prapadyanti. Like that. So any of you, Sri Giriraj Prabhu, you have a question or comment?
No, Prabhu, no, Prabhu. I wanted to read next, but it's okay.
Okay, yeah, surely. From 12th you can read, yeah. So, so far, now we are seeing how Lord is actually accommodating different paths. He's creating different, not exactly paths, you can say, but a system. Later we will see a system. And he is the goal of those different systems or paths. These different paths are nonetheless the subset of that one big path, which is towards Krishna ultimately, like that. Okay, so should we go ahead?
One question, Prabhuji.
Yes.
So he has created all these paths because of just the desire.
Yes.
And nothing else.
Yeah. Correct, bro. True.
But like the problem is, Prabhuji, if somebody is just in Mayavada, he doesn't know that, or he may think that that is the highest. he may not be thinking, or he may not be thinking, or he may not be knowing as well, saying that something higher than this.
So it depends on one's sincerity. See, if one has happened to come across such people, who are Mayavadis, and he is becoming influenced by it, Lord will also give an opportunity for such soul for true Vaishnavism. That's Lord's mercy. But depending on what he chooses over it, because Lord is sitting inside, no, he is always with Jiva. He's seeing what he wants. He wants some just cessation of material miseries, or really is seeking out something higher. Because ultimately we have to understand, ultimately Jiva originally is Krishna conscious. He has that within himself. Is it not? So then what desires he expresses, is it really from that? Or is it just wanting to still enjoy the matter in different way? So
but I see some people are really very deep in meditation or Mayavada philosophy, Prabhuji, but they are very sincere as well at the same time.
Yeah, so true. They are evolving. It's not that they are not giving a promotion. They are getting evolved. So suppose when one innocently comes to a wrong understanding, Lord will indicate in those scriptures also, whatever scriptures they read, there are sufficient descriptions about spiritual world's nature. So knowing that, a person may develop that curiosity, then he will be guided to Sadguru. So ultimately we have to also see that once coming to the true path, spiritual path, is Lord's mercy based on the minute in desire of the jiva. That desire should be expressed later. So that seeking, we will see this later. 4 kinds of people come to Lord. Is it not? Chaturvidha bhajanti amam. 7 chapters shloka it is. Gnani is one of the important. Before that there is jignasu. So people come to that. And then when they come, are they like jignasu is also inquisitive. Gnani is also wanting to know. What is the difference? Jignasu is very casual in the sense he's not serious about it. He just wants to know. But Gnani, he wants to understand it with great focus. He wants to keep all other things aside. He is not materially attached. That's why Gnani no Priya. Lord says, Gnani is very dear to me. And he loves everyone. Udara sarva evaite. But at the same time, Gnani cha mama Priya. Lord says that. So Lord surely is giving the results according to the way they approach. We should keep that in mind. Is that okay?
So at some point of time, the jnani will become devotee. That's all. That's what we're trying to say.
Bahunam Janma ante. Lord says that. It takes many, many lives. And by that sincerity in practice of that path, Lord will give Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Yeah, understand.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, but that's very gradual. It takes time. We should know what we have got is something which people take lives and lives to understand. So it may appear very simple for us to these conclusions, but actually to take that in one's consciousness and practice, it takes a person many, many lives. Okay, yeah. Take it. So now we will go further. So what is driving these people to desire something outside? That is described next. To desire, for people to desire something other than Krishna, that is described here. Kankshanta karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devata kshipram himanushe loke siddhir bhavati karmacha. Prabhu, read. Giriraj Prabhu.
Yes, thank you. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world.
So, because people want some siddhi in the whatever karma they desire, kankshanta karmana siddhi, and that siddhi is provided very quickly. Kshipram hi manushe loke. By whom? By devata yajanta. By worshipping the devatas. That's why people go to them. Lord is described. So the position of devatas is described in the purport. That devatas are actually, they are not different supreme. They are different manifestations of supreme. They are actually empowered agents of supreme. So often people think that Vedic path is polytheistic. There are so many devatas, so many worshipable entities. People may get confused or just see this other paths. They have one person. Actually, they don't have any person. They just worship some void or some no form like that. But nonetheless, we should know Vedic path is not polytheistic. It is actually monotheistic. But how? It is conclusively monotheistic. What I mean here is that there are different forms or different representations of Supreme Lord who are agents of Supreme Lord. And those who don't want that one Supreme Lord to be worshipped, they are given different agents. Okay, you have some desires, you have some other expectations. Okay, you serve them and you fulfill your desires. But how are they getting the strength and power? By Supreme Lord only. Is it not so? It is conclusively monotheistic in that sense. So that is explained. The position of devatas is explained. So one should not consider the devatas and Supreme Lord as equal. That is one of the offense, is it not? Brahma and Shiva, beginning with them, other devatas' position, we should not equate with Supreme Lord Vishnu's position. Such a person is considered as partially. In Chaitanya Bhagavat it is mentioned. All the devatas are actually devotees of Lord. We should know it. All the devatas practically are devotees of Lord. They are worshipping Lord. They are happy when one practices devotional service. They are not angry when one leaves their worship to take to devotional service. They are happy. In fact, they are highly pleased. So those who are foolish, they worship devatas because they want immediate results. The results are provided by Lord also. But Lord provides the results when he sees the purification has happened. He provided such result like Dhruva. He was given amazing worldly opulence. Prachetas, so many of them. But he first purified their heart. And then he gave what not. Is it not? Like Prahlad, even the Daitya Putra Prahlad. So like this, Lord first purifies. So one should not, Prabhupada also puts so-called worldly men who are worshipped by people who don't know spiritual path. They are also put in this category of Devata. So they are maybe some magic, some miracles people may show, some powers may have, but they are still carrying some opulence of Lord. They are just empowered jivas at max. So one should not go for such worship. So Prabhupada writes at the end in this purport. I'm reading the last one. This verse indicates people are rarely interested in Krishna consciousness. They are mostly interested in material enjoyment and therefore they worship some powerful jiva. Like that. Okay. So I was thinking to take today's session till 8:30. Is that okay? We'll start late.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, take it. So now one may naturally inquire that is it not that Lord has placed people in such positions of desires? Is it not that Lord has decided their position, their birth, their backgrounds, all that, for which Lord will tell next shloka. Very nice, very important shloka. Chaturvaranyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashtam tasya kartaram vidya kartaram avyayam. Please read, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable.
So we often hear this shloka, but it's interesting to know the context of this shloka. The context is that Lord is describing the people who are following different paths or they are positioned differently. What is making them act according to that position. Who decides their position by them? So that is the context here. So Lord says, I have made the system, Chatur Varnyam Maya Srishtam. So he is telling Varnas and Ashramas also included, Chat Varnashrama, and this is based on Guna and Karma, Vibhagashaha. That is Jiva's Guna and Karma, the character and their abilities or karmas, competence. That is designed by me. But know this very clearly, that I am not placing them in that Varna. Say, this Jiva should be in Brahmana, this is in Kshatriya. No. God is telling, I am not placing a Jiva in that. I have devised the system, and according to the guna and karmas of the Jiva, they are positioning themselves. They are putting, they are actually makers which Varna they will be in, according to their desires, according to their guna and karma. Is it not? So at the same time, Lord also mentions, I am not a part of the system. I have created the system. Tasya kartaram, I have created kartaram, api mam akartaram vidhi. Know this, that I am not part of this. I am not bound by it. I have created, nonetheless I have not created. I am yet the non-doer. What is this non-doer? That is explained in the next shloka. Avyayam akartaram. So the point here is, the Varnashrama is a system established by the Lord for proper societal functions in human society. Prabhupada told, Varnashrama means human life means Varnashrama. If there is no Varnashrama followed, that is not considered human society. That is animal society. So there is proper activities. They are the kartavyas, duties of jivas according to their guna and karma. We have seen this in the earlier chapter also, Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna, that part, where Lord is telling, act according to your varna, do not place yourself in a different varna. So here Varnashrama is explained, and this Varnashrama is a very, it's devised by Lord. Lord Prabhupada mentions human society is similar to any other animal society, but to elevate men from animal status, the above mentioned divisions are created by the Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. So living a life like this is very congenial, favorable for spiritual path. So Lord has given this system. So Lord has given spiritual path. Lord has also given path for leading one's material life, which will be very favorable for one's spiritual practice. So that is Varnashrama, and that is based on guna and karma. But at the same time, Lord is not bound by it. So Prabhupada in the purport also mentions, just as Lord is above this Varnashrama, the devotees who take to worship Lord in the fullest by all their body, mind and words, they also transcend this Varnashrama. So let us see how Lord is above this Varnashrama. How is he Akarta? That is explained in the next shloka. Any other devotee can read from here, translation? Would anyone like to?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prasad Prabhu. So let's recite this shloka. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spraha iti mam yogi janati karma bhyate. Yes.
Prabhu, thank you. Translation. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work.
So, namam karmani limpanti, limpan or lepana means there is no karma that binds me, that sticks to me, and I don't have desire for karma phala. At the same time, Lord is acting. We see he is performing Kshatriya duties. He is fighting, he is ruling, he is going to Gurukula, he is following the orders of being a Grihastha. So many things Lord is doing. So is he not acting in Varnashrama? Natural question. But Lord is not bound by it. He doesn't have desire for karma. He's not attached to any karma. But how is he acting? So Prabhupada gives 3 examples in the purport. Nice examples. First one, he says, is the king who also, he has made the rules of the state. The rules of the state are made, the laws of the state are made by the king. Of course, Brahmanas tell it first. And he is not bound by those laws. So that's how, like, creator of the law is not bound by that law, like that. Now, second example Prabhupada gives, interesting. That's very more nice. Suppose a proprietor of an establishment. Let us consider a township or some society. So there is an owner for it. He has made that place. In that place there are many people who stay, who work in that company or who live in that society. And they may do different activities, and they are responsible for those activities. So Lord has made what here? He has made this establishment, society or a company, wherein people may do the work as per their desires. So they are responsible for it. The proprietor never desires the low-grade happiness, such as the workers may desire. He is aloof from the material actions and reactions. So that's the second example Prabhupada has told. The third one, which in fact is told by our Baladev Vidyabhushan also, is the rain's example. The rain is not responsible for different types of vegetation. So rain is showering equally in that particular place. But the desire, that is the bija, seeds, different seeds give different fruits. So that is the impartiality of Lord. So Prabhupada later says, Lord only gives them proper facilities for such activities and the regulations of modes of nature, but he is never responsible for their past and present activities. It is a living entity who is responsible for his own acts. So one who knows this nature of Lord is actually an experienced man in Krishna consciousness. He in fact transcends. One who knows that Lord is transcendental, he transcends. So that's the key here Prabhupada is concluding the purport with. So can someone quickly say what are the 3 examples Prabhupada told for the
king forms the laws of the state but is not bound by it.
Correct. King and laws of state. Any other devotee? Let others also answer. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. So king and the laws of state. Yes. Any other devotee?
Rain is not responsible for vegetation.
Vegetation. Very good one. Thank you. Any other? There is one more.
Proprietor and worker.
Proprietor
Not
and the worker.
Yeah.
Correct. Perfect. So these are the 3 important examples given. Actually, this question, it is so much discussed in the Shastras, the impartiality of Lord. So many times it comes in Vedanta Sutra also, it is there in Bhagavatam, it comes like the Prahlada's Leela, the precursor to it is this only, because Parikshit has seen, Lord always sides with Indra, the Devatas, and he just now killed so many of the Ditiputras. So he always saves Indra. Why is this? Someone may question this. Wow, what Lord gains by siding with Indra? So can you please clarify? It's not that Parikshit does not know. He is answering, questioning for all of us. But point is, the Jivas need to know that the Lord is impartial. Do not blame on Lord. Now often we land up here actually. What can I do? So many things happen in my life. But actually we are the creators of those problems in one sense, is it not? We, by our past activities, have come to this situation of specific reactions, and we are actually reaping our own destiny. Karma results actually. So it's not that we have to blame Lord. So Lord is impartial. He's ever benedictory. He's always kind and blessing. So there is only good that Lord does. Everything, whatever Lord does is for one's good. Even killing of the Daityas, even blessing a devotee is only good. So this understanding is very, very vital for one's growth, especially while living in the material world. So that's why these discussions come many times in Shastras, the impartiality of the Lord. It will come in Bhagavatam also. In the Bhagavad Gita also, it will come later in 2-3 places, I recollect. So we may remember this shloka, very important shloka in this impartiality aspect. Now, not naturally, what will happen if one understands all this? Lastly, Lord concludes this section. Evam gnatva kritam karma purvair apimumukshubhi kuru karma iva tasmatvam purvai purvataram kritam. Please read, Prabhu. Prasad.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. All the liberated souls in the ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty, following in their footsteps.
So what is happening? What is this understanding of my transcendental nature was explained from so far, from the beginning of this chapter up till now. The Lord's position was explained. This knowledge is very, very fundamental for Nishkama Karma Yogi. So that is the description told. And with this in understanding, the Nishkama Karma Yogi performs actions. And Lord is telling, you should also follow their footsteps, O Arjuna. So Prabhupada tells, some people are polluted in this world. They are acting out of their own impure desires. But there are people who are free, liberated. They are working only, in one sense, to set example. So one should follow such people. One should know how to act, and one should not retire from activities of Krishna consciousness to sit and make a show of Krishna consciousness. That is not proper. Instead, one should engage in the field of activities for the service of Krishna. So that is told in the purport by Prabhupada himself. Now, there is a lot of description about karma, how to perform the karma with jnana in one's intelligence and understanding. Often it is very, very natural for one to think karma means it gives reactions, and that reactions will bind. And jnana means no action, no reaction, so it will not bind. So what is Lord trying to say? That you perform karma with jnana. That is non-reactionary work. It is work, but it is not reacting. It is non-reactionary work. It is actually detached from one's personal gains. So Lord is actually advising it. He's taking the karma from the reactionary stage to the non-reactionary stage. So karma should be seen at this level. So he is equating actually karma with jnana. Lord is equating karma with the jnana here. So now the next set of verses will say this point. Understanding karma on the platform of jnana. How karma is not reacting. What is this different type of karma? We have seen that. Now Lord will explain with little more alarms, how it is important to understand this. So that comes from the next shloka. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayopyatra mohita tatte karma pravakshyami yajnatva mokshase shubhat.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Okay, translation. Even the intelligent are bewildered in the determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune.
So the right action is so very difficult to distinguish, O Arjuna. Do not just falsely follow your mind or your wrong understandings. Know what is action and what is inaction. And in the next shloka, basically Lord is telling, do not speculate. Follow the path of dharma as given by acharyas. Now in the next shloka, Lord will add one more into this, karma and akarma. He will say vikarma. Karmano hyapi bodhavyam. Bodhavyam cha vikarmana. Akarmanascha bodhavyam. Gahana karmano gati. Please read.
The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is.
Actually, Lord is, he's making this topic very serious here. He's telling, know this, it's very difficult to discern proper action from others. There is inaction, there is action, there is, forbidden action. So it's very difficult to understand, Arjuna. That's why Prabhupada says in the purport, in fact, he places, so karma means what? Pious action. Vikarma means forbidden action. And there is something called inaction. So Prabhupada says forbidden and pious as both forbidden, vikarma only, because ultimately they bind one. So this karma, vikarma and akarma, we saw this in Ishopanishad, and it comes in the 3rd chapter also. Now it's again Prabhupada, Lord is making this topic appear very, very serious, very delicate. Make the proper choice, Arjuna. Do not speculate. Do not rush, haste. So it's very hard to understand. So he's telling, who is the true seer? How does a proper intelligent person see? Karmanya karmaya pashyet akarmani cha karmaya sabuddhiman manushyeshu sayukta kritsna karma krit. Read.
Yes, Prabhu. One who sees inaction in action and action in action is intelligent among men. And
So
he is in transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities.
Very interesting. Lord is using these words. Karmani akarmaya pashyet. See akarma in karma. And then he says, akarmani karmaya. See karma in akarma. Very interesting, a play of words here. So what is Lord meaning? Can someone attempt here? What is seeing akarma in karma?
Karma in karma. Yeah, he wants to treat whatever we are doing is becoming like a karma. For example, maybe I may pick up an example, Prabhuji. I woke up and then just taking a bath, but that will become a karma. Okay, after my bath, like if I go to the puja room and do the deity puja, then that becomes a karma. And I'm taking food, it becomes a karma. If after food, so I do some kind of service related to the Krishna, then that becomes, taking food become a karma.
Very nice, very nice, very good. Thank you. So what Prabhu is telling is, essentially, if we engage that karma with Supreme, then it becomes akarma. See the akarma aspect in the karma. Karmani akarmaya pashyet. Nice, very nice. You gave practical example. So now can someone attempt for seeing karma in akarma? Opposite.
Reading Bhagavad Gita for pious activities.
Okay, reading Bhagavad Gita for pious activities. Okay, bro, fine. Okay. Any other? Please take some more stark examples. Actually, akarma in karma.
Can I try,
Devotional
Prabhu?
service, Prabhu. Devotional service.
Oh, devotional service was the first part.
Okay.
See,
I try,
devotional
Prabhu?
service is the field of action. But are the reactions coming? No.
Akarma in karma. Karma is actually the devotional service that you are performing.
Correct.
That
Now
is
tell
also
me the
physical
second one
activity.
now. We are now discussing the second part. That is seeing karma in akarma.
Prabhuji.
Opposite actually. Yeah.
Prabhuji, the person who are doing meditation, they are doing akarma, but still it's bind, Prabhuji.
How? Very good. You're right, Mataji. Please help us. How?
How, Prabhuji? But they are not. They are doing for their personal benefit. Doing meditation.
Okay.
So they think that they are doing akarma, but finally, that wents to in karmic activity.
Okay, it reacts.
I don't know,
it gives
Prabhuji,
them
whether
reaction. You're right. So I want little more adjectives here, some more qualifiers. Can someone help to elaborate?
But here, Prabhuji, okay, but Krishna is saying that, see, karma in akarma. First of all, it has to be akarma. So if I'm doing a meditation and if that is not a akarma, then this the second part doesn't valid.
Okay.
So he is saying that first of all, it should be defined as akarma, and then see it as a karma. Means, in my understanding, okay, first of all, if I am chanting, that is a akarma. Okay, then, but outsiders, that looks like a karma.
Okay, you're right. But here, Lord is meaning an opposite phenomena here. You remember in the 3rd chapter, the first part, Lord was describing that if one externally has shut his senses, that is, he has put his karmendriyas off, that is akarma. But because he is not purified, he is getting reactions. Is it not? Akarmani cha karmaya, that is called.
But that is not akarma, no, Prabhuji.
Yeah, means
whatever you mention is not akarma.
No. What Lord means by akarma? So that's the play of words. See, the karma akarma definitions are very different here at every level, every occurrence. So the third, see this one, akarmani means in the akarma, means what? In the field where karmendriyas are shut. See the reaction karma.
Okay.
See, karma has multiple meanings. Karma means reaction. Karma means action. Karma means the system of action and reaction. Karma means duty. See, that's why people they have to get the right meanings actually. The sandarbha or the context is very important. So when Lord is telling akarmani, means here in the field where there is no karmendriyas involved. That means here akarma means not performing activity with karmendriya. But here karma means reactions. Are you seeing it?
So the karmas which we are doing with mind are
that is reacting. Yeah.
Okay, but that will have a reaction. That karma he is talking about.
And here in the first line, karmani means in the field of action, means when we perform karmendriya activities with karmendriyas. See akarma. Akarma means non-reaction. No reaction comes. Are you able to appreciate Lord's use of words here? Yeah. So brilliant.
Prabhuji, I can maybe a little bit explain on akarma and karma means some people think that leaving everything and going somewhere and a secluded place and trying to meditate, thinking that I'm doing a karma, but in the mind, because they cannot control, they're not purified, they're thinking about all sense gratifications. That is they're accumulating karma, and Lord is telling don't do that.
Yes. So just see here, Prabhupada mentions that the impersonalist ceases fruitive activities out of fear, but the resultant action may not be what is it he mentioned? Out of fear. So the resultant action may not be a stumbling block on the path of self-realization. So he is ceasing fruitive activities, thinking it will not be stopping him. But actually what happens? It gives him reaction. But the personalist knows the right position as eternal servitor. That is important. So as Prabhu just mentioned, so-called speculative understanding of spiritual path, wherein one stops activities, that reacts. So Lord is actually making that same aspect very strong here. Be very careful in discerning your action, Arjuna. And now from 19 onwards, he will give description of qualities of such people. What are the qualities of people who are following this proper action? That is Nishkama Karma Yoga. So we'll quickly read these translations. The translations are sufficient here. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjita nanagni dagdha karmanam tamahu panditam buddha. Please read.
One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. he is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge.
Perfect knowledge. So his endeavor is freed from desire of sense gratification. That is one quality mentioned here. Let's see next one. Taktva karma phala sangam yatrukto nirashraya karmanyabhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti sa. What is mentioned here? Read. Prasad Prabhu, read.
Yes, Prabhu. Abandoning all attachments to the result of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings.
So he is ever satisfied and independent. Nirashraya, he is not dependent on the reactions of work. So now, as one progresses like this, he will also attain these elevated qualities in 21 and 22. Nirashir yata chittatma tyaktva sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvannapnoti kilbisham. Any other devotee can read translation here? We have 2-3 more shlokas last.
I'll read it, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prasad. Praveen.
Translation. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus, working, he is not affected by the sinful reactions.
So, as one progresses, he will work only for his bare necessities. He gives up all proprietorship. So, that is the higher stage. There is one more verse in the higher stage. Yadricha labha santushto dvandvatito vimatsara sama siddhava siddhaucha kritva pis na nibadhyate. Yes.
Translation. He who is satisfied with gain which comes out of his own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions.
He does not envy, is freed from duality. He doesn't even beg. He is satisfied with whatever comes of its own accord. You may recollect some examples of great devotees like Madhavendra Puri, who are just satisfied in any situation. So that's the higher stages of that. Now, such actions will lead one to the next stage that is explained in this shloka. We will end with this shloka today. Gata sangasya muktasya gnanavasthita chetasa yajnaya charata karma samagram praviliyate. Yes.
Translation. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence.
Such a performer of work, by his such a disposition towards work, the qualities described before, his very existence becomes spiritual. Yajnaya charata karma samagram praviliyate. He will become spiritual. That word is called Brahma. And the very famous shloka, we will end, I'll just recite the shloka to keep all of us on the brink. Brahmarpanam brahmahavir brahmagnam brahmanahutam brahmaivate nagantavyam brahma karma samadhina. So everything becomes Brahma. Now what is this sarvam kaluidam Brahma? What is this Brahma understanding? We will see in the next session. So summarizing what we did today, we did start from understanding the transcendental position of Lord, his birth, his activities, what result one attains by that. And then later we saw those who don't surrender to Lord, they're following different paths. So what are these different paths? Who has made these paths? How does one understand the successes in their paths? Ultimately, it's the Lord ultimately to be pleased and target, the final destination. There is only one path. Different successes in different paths are different gradations of one's progress in that one path. Either some people are facing towards Lord or they are opposite to the Lord. Either someone in different levels of their progress. So that's the mama vartmano vartante. Then we also saw varnashrama, how Lord positions, and many, how Lord is impartial, that we essentially saw there. And later we also saw about seriousness, how difficult it is to discern the right action. Seeing karma, akarma, vikarma, seeing karma in akarma, akarma in karma. Lord very expertly explained that, and making Arjuna understand the qualities behind the right action. We just saw that in sequence now. Now Lord is going to describe that kind of action makes the activity spiritual, which is called yajna. So karma becomes yajna when there is divya gnana in between. So what is that? We will see in the next session. So I conclude here for today. I am very sorry for taking it late. We'll do it next time, the regular time, 6:30. Thank you. Tomorrow is Gita Jayanti. So let us meditate on this divine knowledge which Lord has given, and pray to Lord so that we understand by His mercy whatever we can, we follow it, and we also help serve our spiritual master Srila Prabhupada in sharing it as much as possible. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Gita Jayanti ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare